Thank you for inviting me to your corporate workplace. In our time together today, I would like to share with you why and how theater education can build the top 10 creative skills that the growing economy and workplace desires. According to Eric Booth, a well-respected actor, teacher, and arts advocate in our field, states the arts provide, quote, a public value beyond entertaining us, end quote, and the arts, quote, give serious outer shape to serious inner yearnings. It's from pages 4 and 7 of his speech. This is the heart of creativity and where we begin today. According to corporate research, the number one desired skill in the workplace is originality of ideas. Giving students frameworks for devising in a theater classroom or exploring through various stimuli or modes of learning, such as approaching a topic through the use of music, mask, or physicality, rather than the more typical linguistic pathways, can bring novelty to learning and generate new ideas. As you can see, if multiple intelligences and the whole body are engaged, it is an immersive learning experience for the student, and he or she is invited to be more creative in the drama classroom. Number 2, problem identification or creative problem-solving skills begin by giving students boundaries. This may seem like a contradiction to what I just stated. However, necessity or boundaries requires innovation in order to solve problems. Boundaries in the broader sense, according to the International Baccalaureate Arts Guide, are the parameters that define a personality, a culture, an environment, civil law, a skill set, or a belief structure. By practicing boundaries in the classroom through simple structures such as even having 1 minute to generate an idea for a character trait, or presenting a problem to students before they begin, such as having to rework their set design because of budget cuts, or having to renegotiate space for an upcoming production, these everyday situations allow students to practice creative problem solving in a real-world context. Number 3, boundaries inevitably inspire inventiveness, as stated. However, originality also comes through the hard work of these boundaries and the play and exploration that happens in a classroom. Play is the hard work of learning in a drama classroom. The teacher goes to great lengths to develop essential agreements to build an ensemble, a group of players often working within a hierarchy and without a hierarchy, and many times as well, and without a safety net of trusting one another. So play becomes spontaneous and new ideas are generated more authentically. Play, as I said, is the hard work of what we do in a drama class, and it supports originality and creativity. Taking risks, of course, then is also at the heart of what we do. Students need to do art in order to recognize the difference between external rewards that are often sought after in the workplace compared to the intrinsic value of creating, and to continue to work. In a drama classroom, students are given many more opportunities to do art in the verb sense, according to Eric Booth, allowing them to pour, quote, who they are into something, as stated on page 6 in his speech. Research suggests the relationship between working, the arts, and increased self-esteem. They correlate in engaging that intrinsically motivated sense of self and working on tasks without having to have the reward of a grade. If a student has a higher purpose for working, they are more likely to take risks in order for that work to be received by the world, as suggested in the essay Learning and Yearning on page 6. Risk-taking then seems to correlate to a higher self-esteem and purpose for working. Number 5, theater builds the skill of communication and communicating new ideas to others. Communication is a continuous practice in the classroom, whether it's nonverbal or even verbal. Students learn the art of communication by expressing feelings, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, values, and opinions in front of others. By consistently communicating visually, verbally, or even physically through the process of making art, students are more adept at receiving feedback. And feedback requires listening, and listening is a part of the communication loop. It is an essential component of communication if one is to build his or her skill set and creative capacity. Also, communication in a drama classroom can happen by pitching ideas for directorial concepts or productions which have real-world translation, or in being in the role of a director, a creator, a designer, where they have to express ideas through mood and inspiration boards or their designs, and of course continuously checking in as a design team or production process. And lastly, even from an actor's point of view, audience talkback sessions, asking an audience and engaging how their art communicated is essential. For number 6, the skill of tolerance and ambiguity is a tricky one in the classroom and is hard for students to overcome. However, theater helps students to move away from that approval-disapproval or the good-bad systems because the process of creating art is often more valued than the product. Art is often organic rather than linear as well, which also creates a sense of ambiguity. Devising is the process of creating art that is original, and students are more likely to jump into this unknown process of devising because they love creating something. But what devising does is it helps students to struggle, to get over the not knowing and pushing a more intuitive awareness in the forefront of their thinking and creating. Devising pushes students to the top of their intelligence. Number 7, integrating knowledge across disciplines. During the Educational Theater Conference in 2007, the guest speakers, as well as Eric Booth, reaffirmed that arts education, specifically theater, has proven to increase students' literacy, numeracy, and creativity. By creating more authentic assessments, such as project-based learning units and interdisciplinary units, arts integration is making headway into content areas beyond the humanities. For example, at High Tech High in California, students combined their calculus knowledge in designing and creating a facial portrait that proved the notion of beauty, or what is beauty, and the human figure to themselves and for the community. Because the arts are a holistic experience, there are many ways to tap into its power in the classroom. As far as curiosity, skill number 8, curiosity can be inspired through essential questions, experiential learning, whole body experiences, and exposing students to a variety of theory, practices, and world theater. Asking guiding questions while side coaching on the side, or asking questions which suggest art as a way of knowing, are some foundational ways to build curiosity, aside from just presenting art that might be out of the context of where the students are residing. For number 9, the ability to identify new patterns of behavior or new combinations of action. This is, I would refer back to the High Tech High experience, but also, as I mentioned, exposing students to a variety of theater traditions, world theater traditions specifically. One such example is looking at the City Collaborative Theater Company, combined by Anne Bogart and Tadashi Suzuki, where the whole emphasis of what they're trying to do is to create more globally minded theater creators and combines experiences of East meets West. But in a more practical sense in the classroom, the process of even rehearsal and feedback allow for new combinations of actions and behaviors when students have a way to look at and to reconsider the work that they're doing to make adjustments. And lastly, for skill number 10, there is no right answer. This is been mentioned in our discussion so far, but also simple things like contentless scenes, which allow for multiple approaches and interpretations, and of course, improvisation. Improvisation is not about a fixed answer. In fact, it's all about saying yes, and yes, let's, constantly pushing and plussing the group's ideas. So in looking back at all these skills of creativity, they all suggest there's no one right answer, but rather a context, a process, and a way to present our individual or collective experiences. Our experiences are the culmination of our intellectual, emotional, and spiritual self, according to Parker Palmer in The Heart of the Teacher on page 2. This triad becomes one's identity and integrity, and why arts are at the integrity of learning. Therefore, the process of theater and creating art does not have to reach a conclusion, but is rather a work in progress, continually pushing one's creativity forward and is a necessity in the curriculum.